All right, you've seen the first two boys' teams. Now you get to see mine. And of course, I'll bring you something a little bit different. There will be some similar picks, but I don't have three fullbacks like the rest of them. So let's have a chat and talk through it all. G'day guys, welcome back to the 7 Tackle Set NRL SuperCoach podcast. I'm your host Braino, joined by my co-hosts, the SC Whisperer and the SC Mattrix. And Josh, shout out to you, my friend, because you've been working hard in the off-season, mate. You've some have been saying that you've been training the house down.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we're referring to, if it's the weight loss or the Patreon, but I'll take both of them.
But let's just go with both. That's cool.
Yeah,
I was talking about the weight loss, but Patreon.
Oh, thank you, mate. Yeah, down 15 and a half kilos. So yeah, really feeling good. Unfortunately for a lot of my followers and you guys getting set my Strava most days. So yeah, no, loving it. I look a lot healthier. Just looking at myself in the monitor, I look a lot fitter, which is great. But more importantly, training the house down from a SuperCoach standpoint, because yeah, I've done a lot for our Patreon as well. A lot of team reveals, a lot of Discord setting up, a lot of articles, predicted 17s, busts, studs, players that are going to break out. So yeah, heaps keen, but yeah, definitely stroking my ego there. But I do feel a lot better. But so thank you, my friend. And Maddie, as you're the definition of fitness, as you're downing a beer over there, my friend.
Mate, you've been for a run with me. You have seen that my body needs to be studied for science. At one stage, you're like puffing and you want to do a little video, and I'm just grittying in the background. So yeah, look, I just not only do I get fitness, I also get SuperCoach.
Maddie came down for a Braino. Maddie came all the way down just for me. We did an 8K run through the Leichhardt Bay run area, and at about kilometer 5.5, I'm meeting death. I'm fighting for life, and Maddie's just hitting the gritty as I'm redlining. So.
Fair shout. I mean, Maddie's been running for a long time, to be fair. This is something that you've taken up, and myself, we're both kind of taken up more long-distance running over the last 6 months. Yeah, you do. You've really driven us to be better people as you sit there sipping your Banter XPA. So, guys, first of all, hit that subscribe button if you're new. We'd appreciate that. Firstly, welcome if you are new. Secondly, yeah, subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. We've got a really big preseason planned. And, of course, give it a thumbs up if you like the show. It does help us get it out to more people. Of course, these team reveals and things are, obviously what a lot of people want to see, including hopefully yourself. So we'll be bringing you our teams. You would have seen Josh's and Mattrix's over the last couple of weeks, and you're going to see mine tonight. And without further ado, let's just jump straight in and talk about my team. Now, of course, at hooker, I'm following the Reed Mahoney theme for obvious reasons. I'm pretty high on Reed at the price point. We just looking at Reed Mahoney's historical stats over the last 5 years. He is 11 points underpriced to his worst year. So I think we're just looking at a natural bounce back, a better role. Obviously, he got Josh. Can we say he got galvaned last year?
Sextoned. I think he got sextoned because Galvin came in and it just threw everything out. He got milked because Bailey Hayward Reed Mahoney got milked. Flip that up.
The Moo Cow. Well, maybe that's his new nickname for the rest of the year. But Reed Mahoney, I think it's an easy pick, Mattrix.
I get the Reed Mahoney pick. Wouldn't mind. Like a lot of us were looking at hookers that have changed positions. Maybe a good one is like, why have you chose a Reed Mahoney in a change of position over like a Reece Robson in a change of position? Is it just let us know.
It's a good question. 90K is probably the answer. More so, when Reece Robson's like that close to 500K, he was the first kind of casualty, sadly, in a position that usually doesn't have much upside that I'm not overly keen on. I mean, I started with Blake Brayley last year and that worked out beautifully. I'm really hoping that Reed Mahoney can be that kind of guy that makes us 150K and gets back to doing what we know he can do. I'm not saying that Reece Robson can't do that. I think he can. And I think with, the opportunity that he's going to have at the Roosters, Josh, we were kind of talking over the last few days about people being pretty critical on the Reece Robson pick. And, he hasn't featured in any of our teams, but at the same time, he is the New South Wales 9. And when the New South Wales hooker gets an opportunity to move clubs, he's not going to take a worse opportunity, is he?
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. People, I think maybe seeing some monsters under the bed with Reece Robson. He doesn't feature in any of our teams, but it's not through lack of effort. I'll tell you what, if I could find the money, I'd definitely be having him in there. But yeah, look, he spoke pretty openly with Dan Kemp about just wanting something fresh and new. And I put my spectacles on and sort of look at that as Todd Payton really, really hamstrung him last year. And now he moves to a Trent Robinson system that people are worried about Victor Radley and Connor Watson fighting for minutes. But in reality, I don't see Reece Robson, New South Wales number 9, moving to play a lesser role. And I think, yeah, he's just going to go strength to strength. So just because he's not in any of our teams doesn't mean he's a bad pick. I really wish I could find the money to get him in over a Jake Simpkin.
And I think I'd be happy to start with Robson Mahoney at hooker. Like, if I didn't need that 200k elsewhere, which I've utilised it, I think I've got 40k in the bank with this team. I'd be happy to start with them both. And up until probably last week, I had them both. So Brandon Smith has just presented that opportunity for us to free up 200k on 250k on that pick. Really, like, it's 200k from Simpkin, 250k from Robson. It just seems like the easiest way to free up money at hooker. Mattrix. It's one of those low upside positions. It's not a position that scores high. I think there were 3 hookers last year that averaged over 60. Yeah. So for me, I'm looking at making and using that money to go to those high upside positions at centre wing. Like, we've all used that money at centre wing.
Yeah, and I wouldn't put it against you if, like Josh said, and you said, like, up until a little while back, you had Reed and Reece. If you could have that, maybe that's good enough that you don't need to trade at hooker. Which, like, I do think that being able to save trades and using him in some of these other high upside positions would be an excellent strategy. And look, to be honest, and looking at your team, and we're going to feed into that, like, if a couple of 200k front row forwards do emerge through the preseason, yeah, that's somewhere that you could spend your money, because we have mentioned it before. Brandon Smith's not underpriced because he's injured. Brandon Smith's not underpriced for any other reason other than he was shit last year.
Yeah, and I guess when you get 230k Brandon Smith with a pedigree of a guy that is semi-Supercoach relevant, you've got to look there. Obviously, we mentioned... Yeah, I know you mentioned that. You only mentioned that you've seen him 4 times so far in the 3 episodes, so you've done pretty well.
Did I mention I saw Val going for a run? You know how I passed a 70-year-old lady when I was going for a run. She was running at about probably
backwards
7-minute kilometers. I passed her. That's the same speed that Val passed me as me passing a 70-year-old lady.
As an elite athlete at the top of his game, I would like to think that he would be able to pass you at a decent pace.
I am an elite athlete at the top of my game.
Let's not be silly here. It's nearly as bad as a Jalen Grit pick. Josh, we are we've seen we've been following Riley Smith's Strava pretty closely as well, haven't we?
Yeah, shout out Riley Smith. Just runs paces that I really wish I could read. It's funny. We were talking about this actually. Like I follow Tyson Frizzell's better half on Instagram as well, and you don't look at guys like Riley Smith and Tyson Frizzell as like the epitome of fitness, but you see them running like 350 pace or 410 pace, and you're like, oh, I'm so
That's
far
a
off.
Straight out sprint. I tell you who to follow. If you're interested in running, long distance running, Strava, fitness, whatever, go follow Manu Brown. That guy is an absolute animal. Yes, nice. Proper animal. He runs like ultras. Like, his goal this year, I think, is to run 100k. Anyway, this is not team reveal related at all. Do not pick Manu Brown.
I thought you were going to mention me. I thought you were going to say, like, if you're interested in ultra marathons, follow Mattrix on Strava.
Jeez, let's settle down here. No, Manu Brown, he's the man to follow if you want long distance stuff. He is an animal. But anyway, that's the hookers. Pretty stock standard. I think they're going to be pretty popular for the most part. Payne Haas. I honestly think that Payne Haas could be a really reliable set and forget captain for the first 6 to 8 weeks of this year. Just more so because we look at every single year, we look at it and we go, I want to take these high upside center wing picks, and I want to take this high upside fullback pick as a captain or whatever. And we see that the forwards, they're all obviously more relevant to start the year. The game isn't as expansive. You don't see them spreading the ball, teams spreading the ball as much. You don't see as much cohesion with their back lines. So for me, I'm looking at it going, can I just get a set and forget captain for the first month to 2 months of the tournament? I'd be more than happy to do that. Payne Haas is the guy. And we've already spoken about Jermaine Hopgood, Josh. We don't really need to go into more depth. There's a lot of repeat picks we won't touch on too much for both of us. But Jermaine Hopgood and Payne Haas, could you argue that there is add Toby Couchman potentially at the price point, like getting a set and forget pair of front row forwards to not worry about for at least the first few weeks?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Like, if we sort of look at front row forwards, like none of us have Terrell May, none of us have Joe Tarpany, none of us have AFB. You've got Keon Coleman-Tungy there at 666,000, which seems, unders when you take out his games on the edge last year. Jack Williams was a revelation last year. Corey Horsburgh, none of us have sort of got him as well. Nafahu White was sensational. There are so many guys at front row forward that you compare with Payne Haas that really lock it away. I do think Hopgood, Mooney or Keon are probably the pick of the bunch in terms of value for money, but there are so many names there that you cannot go wrong with, and there are definitely people that are going to go out there and spend 1.6.5 million on Payne Haas and Terrell May, and I can't talk you out of it because it just locks down that position for the entire season pending injury.
My bench matrix is, I don't have that cheap sub 300k guy. You've got Bunty Afoa. I've got Taniela Paseka as my front row forward 4. I've got Jesse Colquhoun up in front row forward 3 at the moment. What are your thoughts on him? Before I expand on it, I'd love to know your thoughts on Jesse Colquhoun.
Yeah, I'm a bit worried. I had him in my team, and then there was some news about, obviously Cam McInnes coming back a little bit earlier, but it'll just be how preseason goes, because Jesse Colquhoun is a guy that we've all looked at for years as a talent, and if he does get his start, we're keen to jump in. But yeah, if Cam McInnes comes back at the timeline that was mentioned last, I'm less interested in Jesse Colquhoun. But yeah, he is a guy that I don't think Cam McInnes will be back for round 1. But I'm trying to avoid these trades at front row forward.
Cam McInnes seems like a guy that would come back 8 weeks early from an ACL, doesn't he, Josh?
Absolutely.
Like, he's just,
Some real John Cena returning at Royal Rumble vibes from a torn bicep. What a reference. No, I am all aboard Jesse Colquhoun. I want to get confirmation on how long Cam McInnes is out for, because we hear ACL and, we saw him do it in like round 22 or something like that, and we expect him to be out until round 12, round 13. But then NRL physio is like, oh no, Iron Man's looking to return in round 5. And we're like, oh shit, okay. Well, that sort of doesn't help. But if we get confirmation that McInnes is out for anything longer than round 8, definitely wheels up to Jesse. And I've had a very similar front row forward setup where I do have Taniela Paseka at front row forward 4. So it is something definitely to worth consider, and it is something that allows you to have some flexibility. Play Paseka at weeks that you need to as well, and have a bit of depth there and not rely on a rookie to maybe get 18 minutes off the bench or a Royce Hunt in the year of 2026.
And I think there's 3 guys that I like at that price point, at that 330 price point, and they're all in my team at the moment. Like if Colquhoun, if we get news that Cam McInnes is going to be back round 2, round 3, round 4, round 5, whatever it be, it's probably not enough time for me to bank on Jesse Colquhoun making enough cash. I mean, I'm looking at, let's isolate him for a second. The reason I'm picking him is because in games over 30 minutes, he scored 42, 48, and 50, 49, 42. In games over 30 minutes last year when he got that opportunity. And look, I'm confident he'd play 50-plus minutes without Cam McInnes in this team. I've been super high on him for a number of years now, and I feel like finally he gets a bit of a pathway, but I'm just wondering whether that pathway is not long enough from a SuperCoach perspective, sadly. And Taniela Paseka, you've already spoken about him, Josh, so I won't harp on that. Really, really solid pick, in my opinion, and more than happy to be a front row forward 3 for the most part. 2 RFs where it kind of differs maybe a tad. 5 of our 6 are the same, Josh, but I've got Siua Wong. Am I banking on the DCE factor? Yes, more so than anything else.
What do you mean? You've got, I'm just looking at Hamole Olakuatu for 524k.
Yeah, because that's how it works. That's how SuperCoach works. When a player goes to another team, you can just naturally automatically think that they're going to do exactly the same thing as the person they were next to last year.
Plug and play.
Yeah, it's Hamole. No, but to be fair, I was really
Hamole's just a streaming option.
Yeah, I was really impressed with Siua Wong and what he did at the first half of the season before he got injured. He got injured in round 16. Before that, he was obviously playing 80 minutes for the majority in most games. He was putting up 50 to 70 points a game. And, a lot of us were talking about how do we buy him? How do we fit Siua Wong into our team? Now, for me, I'm looking at it going, well, do I want another piece of that pie? Yes. Can we say a better half on his side? I mean, look, it's fair to say. I think it'd be rude to say that DCE is a downgrade. So for me, I'm looking at it going, there's upside in Wong. 520k is a nice price. I feel like he's a 600 to 620 guy. We always talk about 10 points of value, and I think that there's 10 points of value in Siua Wong, I think, to start the year. Matty, talk to me, because really there's not really many other conversations to have because my other 5 out of 6 2RFs match Josh's. So Siua Wong is the talking point. Is there any interest from you on him?
Yeah, absolutely. Like the Roosters' edges always excite me. But they do just seem to change. Like, honestly, like you have a look at the top 17 in this team, and there's a couple of butchers, and I know that some of them are injured and some of them are not that good. But there's a couple of butchers there in the lineup. So much attack goes to Crichton. And yeah, if he's available, I think that he was good in the front end of last year, and he could be anything.
Good saying. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to the rest of my team, my halfbacks. It's Moses and I've got Sanders. Josh, you had Atkinson. I've got Sanders again. We've had that conversation around like if Sanders ends up with the kicking tee, it's a pretty obvious, or not obvious, but it's an easier pill to swallow, so to speak, when we're coming into cheapies. But Sanders, I feel like Sanders has been pumped up so much over the last couple of years, especially just coming through the grades and what he's done in reserve grade and things like that. Like he's just a serious talent and a guy that we could be having a conversation about in a couple of years as one of the, let's say, top 6, top 7 halves in the game.
Yeah, and I feel it's like a lot of fear mongering from people that maybe didn't watch a lot of Q Cup last year, and Maddie's going to be well across this as well as I watched a lot of Broncos Cup last year. Like a lot of people are pointing to the Kobe Black signing. Let me be the first to tell you, Kobe Black is nowhere near ready for first grade. Nowhere near ready. If you watch him in Cup, you'll quickly realize that there's probably a reason the Broncos let him go. I feel like there's a lot of Blake Moser about Kobe Black, where like he gets labelled with this tag when he's so young, and then people just assume that's like the progression's going to be there, and that they don't hear about him for a couple of years. You hear about this kid that's sort of 17, 18 is going to be a stud, and then you don't hear about him until he's 20, and you're like, oh yeah, well he's just the same kid that he was 3 years ago, but the development's not that natural, and Kobe Black is nowhere near ready for first grade, and then people will say, oh, why would the Raiders bring him in a year early? Why not? You get to mold him the way that you want to mold him, not letting another team develop him and maybe put in bad habits. I think Ethan Sanders is the first choice halfback. I don't think it's relatively close. I don't think, unless the Raider season falls to pieces and by round 20 they're 13th, which I don't see happening. I don't see Kobe Black playing any first grade this year. Just from what I saw from Cup last year, he's nowhere near ready.
You're probably well poised to talk about this, Matty, about Kobe Black. Talk to us.
Yeah, and I watched in the flesh last year, and honestly, felt the same way about Blake Moser. That was a really good point from Josh. That he's just not ready. I think he could be an elite talent in the future, but absolutely not ready. Like you see Sanders, and he's had a dig before, and he's this goal kicker, and you see Canberra going forward, and you know what, letting Fogarty go because of how good Sanders was. That's what excites me, and that was all before Kobe Black was signing. And I am a little bit scarred because the Broncos did something similar as to what happened with Kobe Black with Sam Walker, but I think they got a lot. Yeah. Oh, I mean, Tom Dearden was playing first grade at least. But look, I am more scarred by Sam Walker than I will be with Kobe Black. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's not saying that Kobe Black is not good. I don't want that. No. He's just not ready.
He's a good kid. Unreal.
He's just not ready for top grade. But that's why I think Sanders' role is a lot more secure than maybe some people. Yeah, I'm not sure if they truly believe it or they're just looking for monsters under the bed. But I think Sanders is secured as he can be.
I think Matty hit the nail on the head when he talks about the fact they let Fogarty go before the Black signing, knowing that they had Sanders. Like, if that's a telltale sign of, how they feel about Ethan Sanders. And of course, like, I'm sure Parramatta were, shattered to let Ethan Sanders go as the talent that he is. Very keen. Yeah. Oh, goodness me. We can't be seen as salty Tigers supporters, Josh. I've told you this.
Yeah. Seriously. Sorry, it's my point to take over the podcast because there's a couple of salty Tigers supporter. We love Galvin here at Insight Fantasy Sports. And you guys
I was actually praying Galvin got a 5-8 duel because I was going to be all over him
we talked about this last year.
It'll come.
It's going to happen for sure. I've got Cam Munster and Jonah Pezet at 5'8". Look, I think we've had a conversation, I guess, and of course we've talked a lot about our preferences with the team picker up to now, and we've looked at 5'8" and we've gone, Dearden, yes, if he had the duel, he'll be in. And I feel like that'll free me up 50k, and that's great. And I'm with Mattrix on that. I'm all over Dearden if he gets 5'8" duel, and I think he probably will. I'm hoping that Supercoach HQ will go, cool, Jackson Purdue's been playing at halfback for 80% of the reps in the preseason. Let's give Dearden the 5'8" duel. And that's what makes sense. And he'll be in my team if that's the case, due to the draw and everything Matty spoke about on his episode. But if not, Cam Munster is you just pay up to get the best. And I think that's probably what this position entails. Like, I've looked at Ethan Strange, and I've been pretty keen on Ethan Strange for the most part. At 6'10", I think he is, but without the goal kicking, Josh, there's a little bit less appeal there. There's been word there that he might get it, he might not get it. If Ethan Sanders ends up, kicking goals or not, like, there's a lot of question marks there on what that looks like.
Yeah, and that's the weird thing. Like, I don't have a definitive answer, unfortunately, because I think they played together in round 12, and Sanders kicked, and he kicked okay. I think he kicked 3 from 5, but didn't look great off the tee. And then the week later, Fogarty came back from injury, but wasn't quite goal kicking. And Strange kicked, he went 5 from 5, and he looked like prime Hazem Masri. KO Weeks can also goal kick a little bit, so it's definitely one to monitor. But I do think if Ethan Strange gets the goal kicking, it makes things a whole lot more interesting, especially if Dearden gets the duel. Because then it's like, do you pay top dollar for Munster? Do you get Ethan Strange off the back of a career year, potentially goal kicking? Do you take Dearden, who was sensational last year, playing more of a 5'8" running role at 6? So definitely opens it up. And then if Dylan Brown gets 5'8", it makes things all the more exciting, which I want that for Supercoach, because right now 5'8", it's Munster, and if you want to go really cheap, it's Cody Walker, and then it's a whole lot of in the middle. And I want more options. It makes it way more exciting. But yeah, Munster and Pezet can't really be critical of this formation, considering it's the same formation that I have.
And I mean, look, if Munster needs, if someone else pops up, it's a downgrade, right? It frees up cash, and I can do things with that money. And I think we've talked a number of times across our shows around going with the more expensive guy. And I guess that's why I've got David Farley, and so do you, Josh, is if we do need to downgrade to Setu too, then it frees up 30k for us, and we don't get hamstrung by having to move other bits around to make that work. So let's move into centre wing. Of course, we've all spent money there. Josh and I probably spent a little bit more than Matty has. You got Stone Street at centre wing 4. I've got him at centre wing 5. I've got Farley and Makasini as my centre wing 6 and 7. We don't need to really replicate the conversation on them, but I do have one Casey McLean that hasn't featured on either of your teams.
I just don't get the hype of Jacob Kiraz.
Yeah, just don't you dare start with me.
Jacob Kiraz, what do you think? Like, what do you think you can do with him, man?
Can we just talk? Okay, cool. I'll bite. It was really hard. Bend the rubber arm, so to speak. Gus has come out and basically said that Jacob Kiraz has had the best preseason he's ever seen from Jacob Kiraz. And of course, Gus comes out and, says things, and some are true. And some are about the fact that he's never spoken to Lachlan Galvin
He's
before.
never met Lachlan Galvin.
No, he's never ever met Lachlan Galvin. But other things are true, right? Where he came out and he called Max King. He called Samuel Hughes when he had a breakout season. Of course, he called Jacob Preston. Like, there's lots of situations where Gus has come out and basically, said this player's going to be great, and they have been. And for me, he's been tooting Jacob Kiraz's horn. Not that he needed to, by the way. Like, this is a guy that is very well proven in the NRL, and he's come out and said that Jacob Kiraz has had one of the best preseasons out of the whole team and whole squad. For me, that's good enough. You know, this guy's a chronic tackle breaker, offloader. We've seen it in different patches last year. I just think that you need to pay up for Jacob Kiraz. I'm not paying up for Herbie Farnworth. I will not have Herbie Farnworth to start the year. But I feel like Jacob Kiraz it would match Herbie Farnworth to start the year at probably 90k cheaper, Matty. So anything to add, or do you just want to bait me into more rage bait?
No, I do think that the Dogs are a better team than the Dolphins.
Whoa,
and that's where it lies. Yeah, I know, hot takes from the Mattrix tonight. But yeah, look, I'm obviously all three of us, and there's very few people. I think it was Latrell, Payne, Haas, and Kiraz and Keeney that all three of us had. So I just felt like we hadn't talked enough about Kiraz when all three of us have him. So, thanks for that, Brad.
I'll plant my flag in the ground. I think he's the centre wing one. Last year there was an 8-point gap on Herbie. I think he makes that up. I think he finishes the year averaging the most as any centre wing.
And even if he doesn't, there's an 8k gap. Like there's an 8-point gap between them, and there's that price difference. Like even if it's just a couple points in the middle, like the Dogs are only going to go from strength to strength. If you hate Toby Sexton,
Hey, look, I mean, I think the Dogs fans would be hoping that they go from strength to strength. Look, I think Jacob Kiraz is an easy plug and play at this position. Like when we're looking at different options at that kind of price point, like we're talking Val Holmes, of course, you've got him, Josh. Herbie Farnworth's way more expensive. Mark Nwanga-Nitawaze, 735k, so he's even cheaper. Kale Ero's not a bad shout, to be fair, if you're buying into the centre wing, the left centre narrative at the Sharks. And then we're into Christian Tuipulotu, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, Ruben Garrick, Bradman Best territory. So for me, like I feel like there probably just needs to be one pay-up option, and that's Kiraz by a country mile for me.
Talk to me about your centre wing too, because a bit spicy. 66.8 average last year, and was absolutely revelational. As
I thought that was Toto.
No, it's Casey McLean.
Revelational is also probably going to go straight in the dictionary, the Insight Dictionary. Revolutionary. He was revolutionary.
Oh yeah, revelation. It was revelation.
Revelational.
That's
sensational.
Sensational and revolutionary combined.
That's a good one. I rate it. I'm going to run with it.
This is usually just the content we keep for our Patreon. But yes. Anyway, you can have some of Josh's words.
It's good. That one's for free. You pay $12 a month for the rest.
He had better ones for De Groot, to be honest.
He did. No, look, everybody's going to probably look at it and go, why Casey McLean over Brian Toto? Like there's a 50k or 60k difference between the two. And I'm looking at it, Josh, you seem pretty confident that Brian Toto is going to be on the left wing. Obviously with Tom Jenkins there last year, do you think that changes?
No, I just think Paul Adamulti, specialist right wing. And then Toto back on the left, obviously inside of or outside of your boy Casey McLean.
I think he was a kick target for a lot of last year. We saw that Blaise Talangi took a little bit of time to get into his work, but Blaise Talangi really came into his own with that cutout ball across the second rower, running a block shape. So for me, I'm looking at it going, Casey McLean last year had a massive breakout year. I think from round 8. He played 66 minutes. He got injured. He missed a couple of weeks. And then since he came back after that little injury break, he had 2 weeks into a bye. There was 3 weeks he had off out of the team. Everyone was calling for his head when he made a couple of really crucial errors that cost Penrith the game and really bad defensive reads. And from round 12 last year, he turned into fucking Stephen Crichton defensively. Like, how good was he defensively? So that kind of kept him in the team to start with. And then from there, he just went from strength to strength. He scored a couple of 80s off the back of that when he came back from injury. And then I'm looking at his scores from round 19 onwards. His lowest, he had one score under 70 for the rest of the year from round 19 on the way through. And I think he's going to become better for that. I think he's going to be just one of those players that just naturally, after a full season in first grade for the most part, just gets better. I was super high on him last year. If we rewind the tape to last year, I reckon he might have been in my team pick a team last year at around 450k. And I ended up pivoting off him, and I'm a little bit annoyed because he started with a shitty 4 in 3 minutes, but then went 70, 60, and then 3 more 60s after that. I think I'm just high on the player. I think he takes another leap this year, and I think he becomes a top 10, or maybe top 10 centre wing isn't spicy enough. I reckon he becomes potentially even a top 5 centre wing next year. So can you talk me out of it?
I can't. I like it. Like, and he's as long as he gets that right spot on that wing, but like, and maybe
left
it's
centre.
just and maybe it's just
He is a bit left center.
yeah, and maybe it's just you doing a little bit of what I do, but I see a bit of Taylor May about this guy. Like he's just come off an unreal year. Maybe a touch underpriced. Like, I'm super tempted by a Taylor May for all the reasons you just said. And at least if you don't have Taylor May, he can only let you down once. But I do think somebody like Casey McLean here, looking at your other guys, is either your first traded out or your first like little flag in the dirt where you're like, I get SuperCoach.
Don't you tempt me with a good time on Taylor May, by the way, because I'm very interested.
My only worry is the Herbie Farnworth syndrome. It's like how much better can you get? And I do look at, say, Brian Toto, who I think was actually quite poor from sort of a SuperCoach standpoint last year, and he was what was it, 8 points, 61.2 versus 66.8. Like it's 5 points difference. The ceiling on Toto versus the ceiling on McLean. Like I think he's a good pick. I don't think it's going to be like a bomb. But like I just worry about how much better can you be from how good you were last year. But if he does improve, then wow, we saw last year just how good he can be. And if he gets even better than that, then fantastic. Latrell, I think Latrell was in all three of our teams, so he's pretty good at football, pretty good center, Dally M Center of the Year. And Throbbo, he makes another appearance. Old Selwyn. Are you buying into the Dolphins attack left wing just wheels up?
Yeah, I'm just buying into the fact that he's better than Jack Bostock, and I'm just buying into the fact that he's outside probably one of maybe let's say what we jumped on Kiraz as the best centre wing. Yeah, the best left centre in the competition. Cleary second. We'll give him his flowers. But, to be fair, like when you're outside Herbie Farnworth, we saw that, everybody knows that Herbie Farnworth has been known as a glue hands guy, and that's all well and good. But I think at the same time, he developed a passing game. And he just attracts so much attention, doesn't he, defensively? So for me, I'm looking at it going, Selwyn Cobbo, good enough in his own right. And even if he wasn't outside of Herbie Farnworth, I'd be still keen at the price point. But the fact that he has that is just a nice little cherry on top for me that I'm keen to run with. So 520k is just a stupid price, in my opinion. And I think he's going to get better.
There's a very real world where all three of us start with someone Cobbo. If I have to find 200k, it's Val to Cobbo for me, and that's where I'd be looking. I love the prospect of Cobbo outside of Herbie. So yeah, absolutely keen. And the Dolphins were the best attacking team we've seen in football since COVID. They're the only team to score over 700 points since 2021 as well. So, yeah, we see the attacking pedigree there that they're putting on, and if Cobbo can benefit, then fantastic. Stone Street, do you have anything further to add that really wise man that he really put out in the first episode that we did of these?
I do not. No, he is sub 500k. He's on the left wing at the Sharks.
Did you just want an excuse to own Ronaldo Mulatalo for 150k cheaper?
I was nearly going to wear the shirt. And I thought, no, well, I can't wear the shirt. Maybe I need a Stone Street shirt.
No,
for all the guys that have Stone Street.
You get the packing tape.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get that shirt design, and I'm going to put it in ChatGPT, and I'm going to replace it with Stone Street's head.
Nice.
And it's just going to say Ronaldo Mulatalo, but it's going to have Stone Street's noggin on it. But no, sub 500k on the left wing at the Sharks. The left wing's a hot spot. Yes, Ronaldo's a great player. And is he better than Sam Stone Street? Of course he is. But at the same time, I think he's still inside Cleary, who we just gave props to probably the second best left centre in the competition. So for me, I'm sub 500k, and I also don't need to play him every week either. Like he's my centre wing 5. If for instance I do need to rely on him as a centre wing 4, I'd still be comfortable doing that. But for the most part, I can play him on matchup if I really have to, and that's just a bit of a luxury that I might have with the structure of this team.
I also think if we look at the lineups and like we do it every week, if Selwyn Cobbo's got a bad lineup and Sam Stone Street has a favorable matchup, then you could just swap those two out. Like they are the same amount of dollars, but I think this could be 100k value in both those flex.
Yeah, no, completely agree. I think it's easy money, if I'm completely honest. Funnily enough, I've just realised that with this team, I have not picked a VC, and that's how confident I am in Payne Haas. So I've also only picked two reserves.
Full credit to the boys.
Disregard. But Nicho Hynes in flex is the last conversation, I guess, to have on my team. And I haven't gone with the traditional fullback. I could, I can downgrade to Turbo if I really wanted to. Do I want to go to Turbo? And do I want to risk my mental health in 2026? No. I'm all about mental health. So for me, I'm looking at it going, Nicho, yes, Nicho's bashed my mental health in previous years. But at the same time, I still feel like at 750k, we're getting like dare I say, like a better draw than Nathan Cleary, maybe evens them out for the most part.
Nicho Hynes
for
cheaper.
Like the upside of Nathan Cleary for the most part, maybe even a higher upside, but Nathan Cleary with a harder draw. So I'm looking at it going, well, if I can just get one of the two best halfbacks in the game in SuperCoach, and I can get the one with the better draw that is cheaper, then I'm more than happy because I'm super high on Mitch Moses. I would pick Moses over Hynes at halfback. But do I like both? Yeah, I do. And do I want to pick maybe Turbos or Ponga? Are probably the next options for me to pick at flex if I wanted to go with three fullbacks. And for me, I'm probably not keen on either just due to the fact that Ponga might not goal kick, and Turbo, I just don't trust his body. So yeah, Nicho's in. Josh, thoughts first on having another halfback at flex? Do you think I'm missing a trick?
Yeah, it's funny, right? Like if you read social media, like Cleary's the guy. Cleary's the greatest SuperCoach halfback. He's the one. He is Himothy. He is the second coming. He averaged 84.5. Nicho Hynes, the worst player you've ever seen touch a football. He was shocking for fantasy last year. Bum, absolute washed, fraud. He was 8 points less. I think, Nicho is held to that sort of Dally M season standard where he averaged like nearly 90 points. And with the Panthers draw to start the season, I definitely can see, well, you don't go Nicho Hynes. You don't go Nathan Cleary for Nicho Hynes, whether it be at flex, whether it be at halfback one, if you don't trust Moses. Really, really like it. Really, really keen on Nicho, as I am every year. He's ultra consistent. Played 24 games last year, over 1,800 points, the most amount of points for any halfback. I think he was probably the third most amount of points for the game as well, behind like Drinkwater and probably top 5, but still like just ultra consistent. Set your watch to it. Sharks are a good attacking side. They're a good footy side. You can't go wrong. And when Cleary's draw does open up, is Nicho Hynes really going to lose piles of money to make you like unattainable to get Cleary? I don't think so. So I like it. I like it.
Waiting for Matty to roast me on my team. So now's your platform, mate.
It's more with Faulogo, to be honest, because I really
say the lack of Jalen de Groot.
Yeah, that too. I mean, like, if you're roasting me on a 300k player, I'm pretty happy with my team. But it's just like I feel like from talking to you about SuperCoach for probably 5 or 6 years, on and off, that you're so high on the fullback position, and like I feel like this is the change that I've seen in you, like. Because, like, I'm super high on Nicho Hynes, but I would forego a Mitchell Moses when it comes to a Callum Ponga. Yeah, I'm waiting for this kicker duel to come, and I know that maybe it's come by the time this comes out, but I do feel like that you will change your tune in that by the time preseason comes, not because of Nicho Hynes, not because of Mitchell Moses, just because of the upside that comes in the fullback position when it comes to SuperCoach. And like, we all play fantasy and everything like that. We can do our team reveals in that. And look, we read how the stats are going, but yeah, I just feel like you're going to go away from having that third halfback.
Maybe. I mean, maybe we all, like the generational backflip that we all did on Isaiah Yongi last year. Maybe that happens again here. You never know.
Didn't.
No, you did you start? No, you didn't. Did you start with him and we didn't? Or was it the other way around?
No, you guys all started with him and I didn't.
That's right. And then you ended up getting him back and holding him longer than we did. So It's funny how that works.
I just think with fullback at the moment, and like we're recording this on the 9th of January, breaking the fourth wall when this comes out in 3 weeks' time. But like at the moment, at time of recording, like there's so many question marks over the fullbacks. Like if I read you out the top, let's go to the top 10 fullbacks. Tedesco is nearly 880k. Drinkwater is sure.
70.
Sorry, I'm filtering this by. I'll filter by average. So the top averaging fullback was Teddy. He's 870k. Trey Fuller probably doesn't start round one. Reece Walsh, we know the stats with Reynolds in the side are not favourable. Drinkwater Mattrix is picked, but we already know the Cowboys are sort of off him a little bit. So what does the season look like? Dylan Edwards has a really tough run. Hamiso, I think at 72 points a game is overpriced. Can the Dolphins improve on their historic attacking output last year? I don't think so. Turbo, we've already discussed. We're sort of up and down on him. Clint Gutherson, Isaiah Yongi, Connor Tracy doesn't interest any of us. Kalen Ponga still hasn't started training for him. Buller plays for a really bad side. And then it's Siua Falongo, Jai Gray, Kyle Weeks in that sort of next tier. So I think fullback's actually really, really open for the first time in 3-4 years.
I don't know how we've missed Will Kennedy. He's a lock. But for the rest of the guys, there's definitely question marks. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's a good point. I mean, look, and it's weird because we kind of go, yeah, we just plug and play a few fullbacks and, usually go primo and spend up and everything's all well and good. And, Teddy will be probably a guy that we're talking about, and Walsh will be a guy that we're talking about, we're chasing in a few weeks' time where we need to get them in. But at the same time, we're talking about maximising value with our starting teams here too.
What I have noticed, what I have noticed, and it's all three of us across the board, we've all changed how we structure teams now. Like 4 years ago, we just, our centre wing one was a 350k guy. And now it's like, I've spent nearly $2.5 million there, and you guys would be over 2 as well. Like the game has changed, and we're just spending up for these centre wings because they're so consistent. The ceiling's there and the floor is just incredible. So it's really interesting to see the trend over the years. I think I've got a screenshot of a team that I had in 2019. I came 30th overall, and John Bateman was my top centre wing, and he was 400k. And he's not even a centre wing. It was
Tell me though, I think that if there was no Keanu Keeney and no Siua Falongo at this price point, we'd be talking about restructuring our team to get at least one of the top guns.
But I feel like maybe it's copium because I don't have any
one of them.
Like, see, I don't like. Yeah, I'd love Teddy, but you can make a case not go with him. How's DCE going to affect the team? He's another year older. He's priced at 89. Reece Walsh, I'm off completely. Maybe it's a copium because I don't have them, but there's no real fullback there. Maybe Drinkwater, where I'm like, I need them badly. I feel like this year is really interesting.
I reckon Teddy's going to make us swallow our words. I reckon he's going to.
We'll have him eventually. I'm just not prepared to pay $869,000 for him for round one.
Yeah,
but I'm cool to pay it as long as I captain, and it's only the first 2 weeks that I'm cool to have him. But after that, the draw gets really hard for Teddy. And that's where I get the struggle, because if I'm spending 869k or whatever, I have to be confident that I'm going to captain him the first couple of weeks. And I'm cool to pay that for Payne Haas because he's always going to provide that value. But it's the draw for the Cowboys that makes me just lean towards Drinkwater. And yeah, like whether they're high on him or not, like he has been the best player on their team in the last couple of years, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. I mean, we've gone a little bit off track in terms of a team reveal and just started having a chat about fullback, but I think it's relevant because this is that position really that we talk about every year where it makes and breaks teams. It sets you up. And there's conversation to have with the cheaper guys this year. So, we'll probably save the rest of it for the fullback episode or another conversation per se, or maybe even we'll save it for the Patreon. And you can join in the link in the description below. Less than $12 a month to get you all of that. We're going to be coming to you with plenty more content throughout the preseason as well as throughout the year. You're going to get articles from us every single week. You're going to get access to the Discord. You're going to get access to an exclusive podcast episode this year every single week. So plenty coming your way, including Q&As, team reveals, final trades and teams every single week for 27 weeks. It's all happening over on the Patreon. So links in the description below. Get involved now. Plenty of stuff happening, as well as Josh has already done the 17 team previews of predicted 17s. So get in there, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Hit the subscribe, hit the like, give it a thumbs up, do all that stuff to help us grow the show. And that's all the team previews done. We'll get the structured content. It's going to be coming to you daily from January 26th. So keep an eye out for that. Thanks for tuning in. See you for the next one.
Cheerio.